Good morning and welcome back to a chapter a day. I have not done a video yesterday, or I did not do a video yesterday. I decided I would not because I did a review of the book of Judges the previous day. And then I had to go back and make some corrections. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a rest for a bit, for one day, and then return with the new book of Ruth. So Ruth is what I'll be reading today, Ruth chapter 1. And I know that may not be a good explanation for some people, but sometimes things just go on in your mind and you rationalize things and you say, okay, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do that. Well, that was mine. But here we go. Happy Sabbath, if I did not say so. It is Saturday as well, so I will be resting up today. And I have been working, I must say, for the very much around the house, of course, for the past days of the week. It's been a blessed week, a great week. I got a lot done. I love it when I can do as much as I can within a day and within a week. So I am going to enjoy the Sabbath rest, and here we go. I'll be reading Ruth, new book, chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the name of his 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left, and her 2 sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelled there among about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them, and the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. So here's what's happening. For those of you who may have read the book of Ruth already, you already know the story. For those of you who haven't, well, what's happening is in Bethlehem, Judah, this is still in the days of Judges, okay? Remember, we came through the book of Judges where we had different people ruling. I believe the last one we encountered was Samson. And then there was some more after him. So this is just a story that was born out of that time period. This man by the name of Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and 2 sons, just like any of us would. If we are having, I immigrated too. I immigrated from Trinidad in the West Indies, and I moved to the United States almost 30 years ago. It's the same thing. They decided to leave the country that they were from, which was Bethlehem, Judah, and they migrated to Moab. Okay, did they say why? There was a famine. So whenever there are circumstances, and for me it was not any adverse circumstance, it was a decision that I made, but I was not going through any adverse situations. For them, it was famine. For some people who migrate from other places, it is because of hardships. They could be refugees, you know, they could just be seeking a better life. So this is what happened. So he takes his wife and his 2 children out of that city that had famine, moved to Moab. I guess Moab was a better city, doing better. And then he died. Elimelech died, and he left the wife and the 2 sons. So the 2 of them took wives, as understood. They were both women of Moab. One's name was Orpah, the other one's name was Ruth. They dwelled there 10 years, and then they died. Now, I'm thinking the deaths maybe have been caused by war, because men of a certain age had to go to war, okay? It was almost like what do they call it? It's inscription or whatever it might be, but they had to go to war. So I am saying this is not written. So I'm thinking that's how the 3 men ended up dying. Elimelech first, he might have been an older man and died, but the 2 sons Could have been in war. Could have been. I'm not saying it was. So now that all three men have died, she is now left with her two daughter-in-laws. So let's continue reading. Verse 6. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. And the Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. So continuing on, Naomi says, you know what? I heard that things have gotten better in Judah, just like we would. You know, I returned home some years after I had moved to the United States. And then I came back, I went back again. So sometimes, you know, we tend to go back and forth, or we want to go back to our homelands. A lot of times we are attached to our homelands. Most people are. So like Naomi, like most of us, Naomi decided, hey, I'm hearing good things are happening in Judah. God has blessed them again. I'm going back home. She told the two daughters, both of you go back to your parents. You know, your husbands are dead. You can get new husbands and find, you know, happiness there. So we are going to part ways. So she kissed them. They are crying. And then let's see what happens. Verse 11. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters. Go your way. For I am too old to have an husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have an husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they were grown? Would you stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes, that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. So another update. As Naomi is bidding them depart, go back to their homes, because she does not have any more sons to give them. Remember, there was a rule or law in Israel at the time that if a husband died, the brother of the husband was supposed to marry the widow and continue seed or raise up seed for the brother if they didn't have any children. So Naomi is telling them, I don't have any chance of a husband now, and I am not, and even if I did, would you wait for the sons that would be born from me to grow up so they could become your husbands? She said, no, that would not be good. I've already had my grief, you know, losing my husband and my sons. You all go back to your families, go back to your gods, etc. So Orpah says, fine, I'm going. She kissed the mother-in-law bye, and she's gone. But Ruth, we'll see what's going to happen. Verse 16, and Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. So they two went until they came to Bethlehem. And it came to pass, when they were come to Bethlehem, that all the city was moved about them. And they said, Is this Naomi? And she said unto them, Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. So Ruth clung to her mother-in-law, and she says, Wherever you go, I go. Death alone shall part us two. Wherever I die, I'll be buried right there. but I am not going to leave you. So the mother-in-law stopped trying to convince her, and both of them started heading on back to Bethlehem of Judah. And these are the same cities where later on Jesus and his disciples and all those people we hear about in the New Testament would have walked, okay? And when Naomi gets back to her city, they say, is this Naomi? Because I guess time had passed. Maybe the pressures of life had made her look much older than she had before she left. You know, maybe she looks really impoverished because maybe when they left, they had some things taken with them. Remember, her husband was the one who decided they would leave because of the famine. So she's maybe looking a whole lot different. So the people are saying, is this Naomi? And she said, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara, because Mara means bitter. It means she's been through a lot, she's had a rough life, and she's not the same Naomi. Verse 21, I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why then call ye me Naomi, seeing the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me? So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of barley harvest. And that is the end of chapter 1. This is a very, very easy book to read. It's an account. They call it a love story. They call it a story of devotion, because most times, if I do say so, not that it's my experience, but most daughter-in-laws do not cling to mother-in-laws. You have to have a really close relationship with that mother-in-law and see something in them maybe that is worth wanting to follow. And there are some, I'm sure. But for Ruth and Naomi, I think Ruth maybe saw something in Naomi because she came from Bethlehem of Judah, so she knew God. So she might have been practicing certain things, and Ruth was looking on, and she found that she was a very blessed woman in her heart. And like Naomi said, when she spoke to the people around her, when she returned to her village, she said she went out full. So that means they may have had stuff. They may have gone out with some things and then came back home empty, because, you know, life dealt them hard. Because once long ago when your husbands died, most times women, it's not like now we can go out and work. Women can go out even when your husband is alive. You can go out and work, find work, earn wages. Back then, it was not like that. The women stayed home, took care of the house. The men went out and worked. So when the men died, who's going to take care of the women? Widows were kind of shunned, you know. Somebody has to take care of them, and they ended up begging. So who knows, they may have had to sell some of their possessions. You know, it was rough. So she returned to her homeland, and Ruth, her Moabitess daughter-in-law, returned to her, while Orpah, the other daughter-in-law, went back to her home. So we'll see what happens next with this short story. It's a short book. Let me see how many chapters. We only have 4 chapters, so we'll be finished in no time. Again, thank you all for listening. I pray that you're thinking. I pray that you hear something that will get you to open your own Bible and read. Or if you have any questions, feel free to make comments. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for listening. Because remember, faith comes by the hearing of God's word. So until then, take care. Bye.